The innkeeper slaps the table and grins wide. "Oh, you want the funny one? Aye, pull up your chair. This one nearly killed me just telling it the first time. From laughing, mind you. From laughing. Another tale for the Yule fire. It started, as most disasters do, with Ashen being confident about something. Pause for effect. He'd found a map, you see. Ancient parchment, crumbling edges, mysterious symbols. The whole performance. Said it led to the vault of Archmagus Rethin, sealed since the Second Age, rumored to contain artifacts of impossible power. Brindal asked how much it cost. Ashen said he'd traded his good traveling cloak for it. Brindal said that was the worst news he'd heard all week, and it had been a very bad week. The map led them to a hillside outside the village of Mosswick. Unremarkable village. Unremarkable hill. There was a door in the hill, which was at least promising. Heavy oak, iron banded, with a knocker shaped like a screaming face. Sarah examined it for traps with great professional seriousness. Then she knocked. Out of habit. Nobody answered, so Brindal shouldered it open, which he was going to do regardless. Inside, stairs going down, torches and sconces already lit, which Ashen called a remarkable preservation enchantment, and Sarah called a bad sign. They descended. The dungeon was, well, it was someone's dungeon. Proper stone walls, flag floor, little alcoves with old urns in them. But it was also undeniably someone's basement. There was a shelf of preserves along one wall. Apples mostly. A few jars of something purple that nobody investigated. A mop leaning in a corner. Brindal stared at the mop for a long time. "That's a mop," he said. "I see that," said Marin. They pressed on because they had come this far, and Ashen's map still insisted there were 4 more chambers. The second chamber contained what the map labeled a guardian beast. It was a badger. A large badger, to be fair. An annoyed badger. It had clearly been sleeping behind a very old sarcophagus and was furious about the interruption. Brindal, veteran of 3 wars, took one look at it and stepped behind Marin. "It has a look in its eye," he said, with great dignity. "It's a badger," said Sarah. "I know what it is. I'm saying it has a look." Marin, who had grown up on a farm and had no fear whatsoever of badgers, picked it up by the scruff, walked back to the stairs, and set it outside. It waddled off into the night, still furious, dignity thoroughly insulted. When she came back, Brindal was pretending to examine a wall carving. The third chamber was labeled on the map as the Chamber of Riddles. There was a stone face carved above an archway. It spoke in a deep and reverberant voice that had clearly taken centuries to perfect. "I speak without a mouth and hear without ears. I have no body, but I come alive with the wind. What am I?" Everyone looked at Ashen, because riddles were his department. Ashen opened his mouth. Sarah said an echo and walked through the arch. The stone face made a sound like a man who had prepared a very long dramatic pause and had it stolen from him. Then it said grudgingly, "Correct." Ashen closed his mouth. He didn't speak again for about 10 minutes, which everyone privately agreed was the best outcome of the evening so far. The fourth chamber held a locked chest, which Sarah opened in under a minute, humming to herself. Inside, 3 gold coins, a scroll that turned out to be a recipe for onion soup, a child's wooden horse with 1 leg missing, and a note that read, "If you're reading this, Gregor, I told you to stay out of my study. Mum." They stood around the chest in silence. "Vault of Archmagus Rethin," said Brindal slowly. "Ancient artifacts of impossible power," said Sarah. "The map," said Ashen very quietly, "may have been inaccurate. You traded your cloak for this," said Brindal. "I am aware. Your good cloak." Brindal. "The one with the fur trim." "I am aware, Brindal." Mara, meanwhile, had unrolled the recipe and was reading it with genuine interest. She looked up. "This actually sounds quite good," she said. "It calls for white wine and time. Do we have time?" Nobody had time. She rolled it back up and put it in her pack anyway. Waste not. The 5th and final chamber, because there was a 5th, the map was at least right about that, contained an actual enchantment. A genuine one. Old magic, Ashen confirmed, going quite pink with excitement. It was a mirror, tall, silver-framed, humming faintly. And when you stood before it, it showed you not your reflection, but your heart's deepest desire. They looked at it. Then they looked at each other. Right, said Brindle, crossing his arms. I'll go first, and we all agree not to mention what we see. Agreed, said the others, immediately and with great relief. Brindle stood before the mirror. His face went through several expressions. Then it settled into something soft and complicated. He stepped back, cleared his throat, said nothing. Sarah went next. She glanced at the mirror for exactly 2 seconds, snorted once, not unkindly, and stepped away. Ashen stood before it for a long time. The mirror seemed to require more time for him. His eyes went bright. Then he blinked several times, straightened his robes, and said academically very interesting, in a voice that suggested it was not, in fact, academic at all. Marin was last. She stood before the mirror. Her expression didn't change much, but she smiled, small and private, and then she turned away, and she was still smiling all the way back through the chambers, past the shelf of preserves, past the spot where the badger had been, up the stairs and out into the cold night air. None of them asked. None of them told. That was the agreement. They walked back to Mosswick, got a table at the inn. Smaller inn than this one, sticky floors, excellent mutton. Ordered around. Brindle put the 3 gold coins in the middle of the table. Split 4 ways that was. Well, it was nothing really. Couldn't even cover the ale. He looked at it. He looked at them. Ashen, he said, yes, if you ever buy a map again. I won't. I will use it to start a fire. That's fair. A small fire. An insulting fire. Also fair. Sarah was already eating. Marin poured the ale. Ashen got out his notebook and began writing, because he was constitutionally incapable of not documenting things. And Brindle sat back, and he looked at the 3 of them. This ridiculous collection of people he'd somehow ended up responsible for. And he made a sound that wasn't quite a laugh. More like a laugh that had given up trying to be anything else. The innkeeper wipes his eye. They found nothing of value in that dungeon. No ancient artifacts. No legendary power. Just a badger. A stone face with wounded pride. A recipe for onion soup. And a magic mirror that minded its own business. But I'll tell you something. Marin made that onion soup eventually. Few weeks later, winter camp, middle of nowhere. White wine. Time she traded for in the next village. Bread going stale. Served it in tin cups because that was all they had. Brindle had 3 helpings. Said it was the best thing he'd eaten in 20 years. And I think that's what the mirror showed her. Not glory, not power, not some grand destiny. Just that moment. Her people warm, fed, and briefly, completely content. Pause. Some of us would call that nothing. She called it everything. Settles back, raises the cup. To Gregor, wherever he is, for having an interesting mum. To the badger, may it have found somewhere warmer to sleep. And to Marin's onion soup. Gods, I wish I'd had a bowl. Grins into the fire. Right. Who's buying the next round? Because that story was worth at least 2.